a real
Seriously.
That's a real statement. Well, we are live. Hi, everybody. We are on the Werewolves, Chimeras, and Vampires Oh My panel. So we're going to be talking about mythical beasts, mythical creatures, and how you integrate them into your story. I'd like each one of the authors present to kind of give us a rundown of who they are, how long they've been in the genre, what their most recent work is. Go ahead, Daniel. You seem to be at the top today.
What? Somebody made mistakes. One, I mean, you invited me. Two, you're making me start. I apologize to everyone in advance for what is about to happen.
We can't lower the tone.
I'm sorry, what was the question?
Give us a little bit about yourself and how long you've been writing.
My name is Daniel Chinoff, and I have been a published author for a little over 6 years now. I have written, I think it's 8 or 9 different series in total, 40 some odd books in that time span. I am wearing Positively Irregular, which comes from Dungeon Walkers, which is one of my series, which is actually the one clean series I have. For those who want clean books from me, I have given you one series. Please enjoy it.
Clean.
That's all you get is that one.
That's it.
We're all like that.
Perfect.
Love you too, Brian.
And I guess I'm up next, and I'm Shammy Stovall, Shammy like the car cloth. And I've been writing books for maybe 6 or 7 years now. My series I think I'm the most famous for is the Arcanist series, like Nightmare Arcanist and all that, and it's heavily based on bonding to mythical creatures. So I'm really excited for this panel because I super love magical creatures of any form. Having familiars, having any sort of like bond with a magical creature. I played Pokemon competitively for years. I love any sort of monster catching game or scenario. I've played Monster Rancher and Digimon, and Azure Dreams is the really rare one that sometimes people have played, and I'm like, that's a guy of culture. So I love all those types of things. Really excited for the panel.
Michael?
All right. My name is Michael Head. I've been a published author for a little less than 2 years, like a year and 9 or 10 months now. I have a series called Threads of Fate. I'm rocking the Threads of Fate hat. And my Mountain Dell Press, it's reverse, my Mountain Dell Press polo, because Mountain Dell Press is my publisher. I have the Threads of Fate series. I also am helping out Dakota Crowd on a series called Year of the Sword. That's a lot of fun. And then I have a third series that's currently exclusively on my Patreon called Wandering Warrior, Judge, Jury, and Executioner that I'm really excited about. And that's about it.
Well, I'm Jez. I'm also really excited about Michael's Wandering Warrior, Judge, Jury, and Executioner series. So that makes 2 of us. That's always good. We were talking about this in a panel the other day, and I was like, "Ooh, that sounds good."
Yeah, we did. It was a great panel too.
Exactly. I think we were all drunk, weren't we?
Yeah, a little.
Yeah, but, as long as everybody has fun. So I wrote Underverse. So starting with Brightblade, I wrote Rise of Mankind, which is about halfway through now, and I wrote Arise Alpha, Arise Dark Crusader. I've been published, self-published obviously, for about 2 and a bit years now, about 2.5 years, and it's been bloody awesome. So yeah, I just like to cause trouble, and essentially I make shit up in my room. It's a bit like being sort of a teenager and just sort of making crazy shit up in your bedroom, but I do it in my office now, and people occasionally send me money for it, so it's a bit like prostitution as well, but as long as everybody has fun and nobody complains, fuck it. I couldn't be a hooker because of all the refunds. So,
tiny bit of prostitution, no big deal.
So the question that just came through was, what would your Patronus be? It was specifically directed at Shammy, but I'm open to hear what everybody's Patronus would be. I would assume we all know what a Patronus is from the Harry Potter universe.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I guess my Patronus, if it has to be a real animal, because it'd probably be a Doberman. My first dog that I ever really got was a Doberman, and he was super protective and just the nicest, goodest boy you ever saw. So whenever I imagine my Patronus, I imagine Jafar, my Doberman.
I think
We'll go
we
on
should
to
spin that back. This is a panel about mythical creatures, so
Yeah, it
your
doesn't.
Patronus
It
can be
doesn't.
anything.
Good point.
Okay, so now same
point.
question, but it could. What if it could be a mythical creature? Where would you go?
Well, if it could be a mythical creature, I would want it to be a Kirin. So
Okay.
like the Chinese like unicorn
Mhm.
creature. I've always super loved them. They're my absolute favorite. They're so cool. So that's what my mythical Patronus would be.
I mean, because Harry Potter had those mythical creatures, so they could have been Patronuses. So
Well, I just, maybe I'm misremembering. I could only remember all the Patronuses being real creatures, like an otter,
yeah.
deer, things like that. So,
Okay, Jez, how about you?
Well, I mean, I'm glad you got to me before Daniel, because we're both probably going to pick the same one, which would be a succubus. But that would be a different story.
Are you trying to pigeonhole me, sir?
I'm not trying. I think we've already got that one made out. Pretty straightforward.
I am
Wait,
shocked and surprised.
You missed the panel last night. How can you be
Accurate.
saying things like this?
I mean, to be fair, I mean, let's face it here, succubus would be amazing. Because you protect the fact that you summon it and it fucks off. That's good, isn't it?
oh my goodness.
Oh, there we are. There's a fight going on. Aha! Patronus. Well, the fight's definitely not going on anymore. Yeah, well, I think we win.
Different kinds of censorship needed. Yeah.
Okay, Michael, how about you?
I'm
going to guess, before you say anything, I'm guessing a squirrel.
Oh, man. So, some background. I have had an ongoing battle with squirrels like the last 3 places I've lived. I was in the military for a long time, so I have to move a lot. And I bought a brand new house. I mean, absolutely beautiful house. And less than 2 months after I moved in, squirrels chewed through the side of my house and did $7,000 worth of damage. So, I mean, I guess they can be pretty dangerous creatures. So, probably not a squirrel. What eats squirrels? What eats a lot of squirrels?
Doberman.
Raven.
Maybe snakes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, honestly, it would probably be like a dire wolf. I think that I've always thought dire wolves were pretty cool. Like a wolf but bigger. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
More dire.
Yeah, more dire.
Daniel?
Well, if I had a Patronus, it would be a website where I would sell brief views of. Oh wait, that's Patreon. Sorry. Similar words. I get confused. Ask my editors.
And you have one of those.
I have 2 editors, and one of them is not in the room, so I can get away with this currently. No. I mean, I can't say succubus because I got to be contrary at this point.
Everybody else.
Honestly, I'll go similar but different to a couple of panels here. I'll go Cerberus. Good old Spot.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yep. 3-headed spot. Yep.
Three-headed hell dog.
Fire-breathing hell dog.
I mean, I'm pretty sure everything would fuck off at that point. Just good boy. Get him. And by the way, the succubuses would show up at that point because everyone loves Puppy.
You're not wrong.
And I have to apologize. Shammy probably had no idea what she was getting involved in when she ended up here. She's like, it's going to be a panel about mythical creatures. It'll be not lewd. It'll be, oh, crap.
Now we're going to talk about succubi and incubus and all those other kind of crazy things. That's fine. I don't mind. I mean, I guess most of my works are like YA, so they're any age can read them. But I've always thought, oh, it would be fun to write like an adult style novel. So I'll just write down a bunch of notes from everything you guys say.
Perfect. So
and
what,
Michael? Hang on, Michael. Void squirrels. Just to put that in your head. If you need something worse than squirrels, void squirrels.
Void squirrels. Oh, thanks for that.
No problem.
Dire squirrels.
That's a nightmare. Yeah.
How about just were squirrels? You never know if they're going to be human or squirrel.
Oh man!
When you go out and you start killing a few of them, and then the boss squirrel turns up.
Although somebody mentioned that Dumbledore's Patronus was a phoenix. Is that true? I can't remember that. I'm like, when did he
that
summon
is
his
true.
Patronus? It's been
I don't
years since I've
remember.
read those books.
Yeah, I don't remember him summoning one, but it's been years for me as well.
Let me see here.
I'm gonna believe everybody in the audience and whatnot.
Well,
No,
it was
Paul-
revealed. It was revealed when he wanted to summon Hagrid after Victor Crumb was stunned. So, yeah, I guess it was.
Okay.
It
Nice.
is a Felix.
Paul is in the chat. Don't believe everything that anybody says if Paul's involved. Never
Yeah.
believe anything that Paul says.
Paul's a dangerous man. He's very
So,
dangerous.
So we got a question from Facebook from Brian. When taking creatures that have already been established in other works, how do you put your own stamp on it to make it truly yours? This was a similar question seems to come up pretty frequently about how do you avoid plagiarizing versus making it your own unique situation when writing.
What you mean, like plagiarizing from history? Like really ancient creatures and stuff like that, like plagiarizing the Roman mythology.
Right. And with mythology is not something. I mean, it's not something that's necessarily plagiarizable because it's common knowledge, common use, right?
Yeah.
The harder one would be more like taking a beholder or something that WotC has.
Yeah.
A trademark on or a copyright on. And
Displaceries.
Displaceries.
Players.
Yeah.
I think it's easy to avoid or easy to have your own unique spin on it when you have your own unique magic system. And, you know, I think most people here write some form of lit RPG. And so lit RPG has its own, you know, most systems are unique in their own regard. So in real life, I guess Kirins are supposedly, they only show up to great leaders. In Chinese myth, if you see one, you're destined for greatness. And all you have to do is really see it, like, oh, there it is behind a bush. Boom, that's it. And in my universe, I had people bond to creatures to get magical powers. So I'm not sure. Or the cat.
Sorry, there's an ongoing catastrophe.
Cat's also part of the panel.
I was about to say the only thing I find hiding behind bushes around me is Jez normally, but
I'm not very good at hiding
Destined
either.
for greatness.
It's not like
Well, so in my universe, I have people bond with creatures to get magical powers. So based on the myth of the Kirin, what happens when you bond with a Kirin? You know what I'm saying? Because obviously in real Chinese myth, you don't bond with them, you just kind of see them. So I have my own unique spin because my entire system is based around something that isn't involved in the real world legend. So I feel like it's easy when you have your own concrete system that you're working with, and then you incorporate creatures that are already established into it and kind of interweave it.
Yep.
I just like the idea that the myth is basically some guy going, I totally saw the Kirin. You guys need to follow me. And then in her book, it's totally like, and so guys, now you're going to follow me, right?
Yeah.
At least that way it'd be believable as well. No, you didn't. Really?
Yeah, here it is.
look at
Well,
what I got.
Okay, then.
Yeah, I guess in my books, you can only bond with one creature, and the super special, the reason why you would follow someone with a Kirin is that it allows you to bond with multiple creatures, and that the Kirin empowers them, so they're extra super special. So why wouldn't you? You know, like that kind of thing.
I mean, if it's an option, yes.
Yeah,
The Kirin wants to bond with me. Nah, I'm gonna go find a void squirrel. I'm good.
That'll get the job done. You can't beat a void squirrel. Yeah.
I mean, taking quote unquote established myths. We'll go with the simple ones: vampires, werewolves, and making them your own. How they fit into your story. Because all of us are, I would say, at least some of us or most of us are writing in not Earth stories. We're writing alternate Earths or completely different magical worlds. So it's easy then to take the idea of werewolves and change them. They don't have to become giant hairy man creatures that want to ravage everything on the full moon. But on the full moon, they do like to go out and have a party. You know, you can change it however you want. Just make sure it fits in with your story. For Luck's voice, I have a dryad in that one. And dryads are they're the children of Mother Nature. Mother Earth is the entity that protects the planet itself, they hold energy. So the main character ends up with a companion dryad whose whole purpose is to help him bring the gods back to the planet, which is very helpful to him since she can hold energy and he needs the energy to heal people, to help bring people back to faith. There's a reason for that. And most people don't normally think of dryads as something that helps you heal people. They think of them in other ways.
Yeah, there's a few other myths.
Wonder why you
associated
picked
with
that.
this.
There's no reason.
Coincidence.
Yeah,
No reason.
no big deal.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, I have mine is a couple of mine are based in Earth. Arise and Rise of Mankind are both based on Earth, and their Arise is based more along the world as it is now. So we're saying that basically we've got vampires and all these kind of legends and everything else that's there, all come from a twist in the nanites. So a mistake, a genetic variation that's triggered that shouldn't have triggered, but once it has triggered, it's active. And for example, vampires, when they bite somebody else, pass on that contamination in the nanites that we all have inside, which is how they create. So as long as you've got a believable reason that they exist and a believable reason that they can procreate or that they would be interacted with you. Because I mean, you can't really, right, you can, but I wouldn't recommend saying that, oh, well, you know, all of these creatures are super, super rare and have never been seen before, but they all live around my house. Because it's like, right, okay. And nobody had seen them before you. Oh, well, it's just coincidence, really. Except for squirrels, obviously.
Yeah, for me, it's how do you take existing things and make them your own in a fun way? And so for me, like in Wandering Warrior, I have my main character has to fight some Wendigo. And anybody who knows anything about Wendigo it's a Native American monster or creature that is like
known for being a cannibal.
yeah, it's almost like a hunger demon. Well, I changed that into it's people that are people or other monsters that have been infected by a kind of fungus. Yes, 100% me. Yes. So this fungus, it almost adds like a zombie virus aspect to the Wendigo. So like if you get this fungal infection, you can do it. And the Wandering Warriors are an isekai. So like the guy has earth knowledge and he's like, hey, all I need to do is find something antifungal and I can stop this infection from spreading. And so then he's like, oh, you're so cool because you know that garlic is an antifungal, you know. So but it's I mean, that's literally the nuts and bolts of being an author is how do you make something familiar enough people can connect with it, but different enough that you stand out. And like that's what you have to do with everything. Yes, you are right, kid. Yes, yeah. It's you know, once again, making stuff my own is stuff that exists elsewhere. I actually didn't even think of that until Kit just said that. Thanks, Kit. Thanks for ruining it for me. Thanks, man. I thought I was being original.
Don Chapman asked, what is the favorite creature that you have written about? Or what is the favorite creature that you haven't written about yet?
Ooh. That's a good one.
Go ahead, Michael. We'll go right back on you.
You're starting with me? Okay.
Yep.
I would have to say a lava dragon that spits steam.
Okay.
Like a dragon made of lava that instead of breathing fire, breathes out steam. I think I have a really fun fight scene planned with that in the Threads of Fate series, and I think it's going to be awesome.
Spoilers.
Yeah, tiny spoiler.
Okay, Daniel?
I mean, mythical creatures that would be fun to write, but I haven't written about yet. Let's go with one that I'm not sure I'm ever going to be able to touch upon. Let's go with unicorns. For obvious reasons.
Well, they only exterminate the virgins, so I don't think you've got much of a chance.
I mean, seriously
Daniel would
though,
pick a horny horse. That's
and then when you're unsure,
they're only interested in virgins. So, I mean,
it's gonna rock up with you and just be like, You.
No, I'll fuck off now. Nope.
Not you.
Honestly though, mythical creatures that I would like to write about, I haven't really added yet. I don't think I'm trying to go through my books real quick in my head. I've covered a lot of different things,
You sure
honestly.
have.
Yeah, I can't think of one off the top of my head because I've included so many different mythical creatures. So I'm gonna stick with unicorns, honestly, because I honestly don't think I can ever actually include one.
There's some people who actually came up with some pretty good ideas on how to
Save the non-virgins from the evil unicorn.
Also, Jen Bean is right. It depends on the type of unicorn we're talking about here, Daniel.
No, there's the unicorn, and then there's basically the reverse of the unicorn, and I can't think of the name of it right now, which is basically the evil version of the pure horse, and I can't think of the name of it.
She's talking the human unicorn.
Evil version of a unicorn.
No,
No, I don't want pictures. Just says a dread unicorn. A normal horse. Thanks,
a
kid.
normal horse is fantastic. That's a great
Damn you, kid.
How about you, Shammy?
Well, this is a hard question because one of my two of my series really is completely based around mythical creatures. I've got hundreds and hundreds of creatures in those books, and I really did include almost all of my favorites because I was like, why not? You know what I'm saying? Like, so I tried to put all of my favorites in there. I guess the real answer is that I made up a lot of creatures for that series because I wanted to have unique ones. And one of the creatures that I made up that I have yet to put in any of the books is like a crypt guardian. And it's almost like in my series I have a nightmare, which is like a sentient suit of empty armor. And the crypt guardian is like a variant of that. So kind of like a possessed suit of armor, basically, that guards crypts, obviously. And I always really liked the like hollow armor concept. So I guess that's my answer. It's not like a standard creature. I guess if I'm going to pick a standard creature, I've never written about like an alicorn, you know, like the unicorn that has wings.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always wanted to put one of those in my books too. So that's the standard answer. And then for my own created monsters, Crypt Guardian.
Okay, Jez, I'm interested to see where this goes.
Well, I mean, I'm just trying to think which way around to do this, really, to be honest with you, because I've got... Don't talk about that, Paul. I've got a creature that I'm writing about at the moment, which is like an embodiment of a couple of different sort of legends. But something that exists at the moment would probably have to be a mimic. Something that exists in somewhere else, because there's just so much fun you could do with... I'll just say quickly, Daniel, I don't mean sexually. There's a lot of fun you could do with a mimic, really. Which is just sort of where you could put it. Well, again. That's what she said.
It's all about that time, Jez.
Yeah, all the situations that you could set up with a mimic as your bonded familiar, for example, of just like, right, you know, get in there, be a bear or whatever, you know, crawl down the... I'm just going to leave it there, actually, fuck it.
Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, I'm giving away book details. So stop.
So Kyle had a question on how have you come up with your unique creatures that most don't know about? Shammy mentioned that she's made creatures because she has so many in her books, and then even talked about one. So how do you do that? Do you pull from other areas and make a chimera effectively?
No, so me and my husband made a tabletop game like D&D, like our own homebrew style game. And as a part of that, we had a really robust like familiar system, how to get familiars and how to rank them up and the different types of familiars. And the one that I designed or really, really liked, or the category of familiar we called a puppet, which was a type of familiar that you could wear that would then empower you. So they could be capes, armor, you know, any sort of thing that you like, a coat, and they would be sentient basically, and then they gain more power as you progress through the game. And I really, really loved them. Thought they were the coolest thing ever. So when I was writing the Nightmare Arcanist series, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna put this puppet creature basically in the game. Only, I'm gonna make different variations of it. I'm gonna do this nightmare. I really like this nightmare. So I wouldn't have said I chimeraed anything. It's more like it was an evolution over a long period of time in which I was like, here's a cool idea, but what if we also did this? And then what if we also did this? And then eventually I'm just like, whoa, what if it's like a shadow armor and all this cool stuff? And then I'm writing a book about it. So
the first thing I took away from that was that her and her husband created Pokemon D&D edition.
Yeah, you got it. Well, it's probably a little crazier than that. Our systems, I sometimes shake my head because I hesitate to show it to people because I'm like, it's like 5,000 pages worth of work, and like everything is robust because my husband really loves economics. I mean, he's huge into lit RPG, like base building and stuff like that, because he's like, I'm going to make a 100-page economic system, and also I'm going to make a 100-page business. So if somebody wants to run their own business, we'll do that. And then I'm going to do a city building guide, and that'll be like 400 pages because I can't control myself. And I'm like, all right. So literally everything in our game is detailed right down to, you want familiars? We've got 17 different categories of them.
I just want to point out you're sitting on a Kickstarter. Just
right. Your husband is also an author, right?
He is, yeah. He loves Dungeon Core. That's how I even got into lit RPG. We would go to bed and he would turn to me and he'd be like, Shammy. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, if you were a dungeon, what type of dungeon would you be? And I'm like, where the fuck did this come from? And he's like, I just read
this is not the conversation I was expecting in bed.
Talk ever.
I'm all in the roleplay here, but exactly where is this going?
Yeah.
I mean, they created a 400-page game about dressing up.
What are you trying to say about me? You're calling me a dungeon?
Yeah, so we would have conversation after conversation about it, and he was like, man, I can't stop thinking about all the cool dungeon things.
That's
and
what
I'm
I was
like,
saying, Paul.
You should write.
Actually say it.
You should write your own dungeon core. So my husband went and wrote his own dungeon core. It's his passion project. He loves it.
That's awesome. So I know you guys, the others, have also made creatures of sorts in their books. How did you guys do it? Same.
Yeah. I take, as we were saying before about the different creatures, I take something and I try and sort of turn it sort of 45 degrees, 90 degrees. I'll just say the one I was thinking of in the last question, because it pertains to this as well, is I've created a species called the Asura, which is essentially think of like a spirit, but it requires a body. It requires something to inhabit. So as a species, they're building, like the Queen Asura spawns smaller, and they are then required, they have to build a body to live in. So think steampunk, essentially. So they're building things in a destroyed utopia that, like in an Armageddon type story, apocalypse, couldn't think of the right word there, and they're building bodies out of all of the crap that's left over. So that's a hint for Age of Steel.
Nice.
Yeah.
I can't say I've ever done anything similar. I have not written 5,000 pages of a tabletop to create a creature. So I mean, I am actually humbled in this conversation currently because I have never even considered doing such, and honestly, I don't think I ever will. So, creating unique creatures, though, I mean, I don't know if I've ever created a truly unique creature. Honestly, I like taking a framework and changing it more than trying to build something from scratch. Changing how vampires need blood. Dragons being prideful is always fun. Having a prideful dragon decide to crash a convoy and then challenge somebody to a duel because how dare these insignificant things get in its way when it is looking for food. I love doing those kinds of things. I've never been like, okay, so I need a spirit. Now I'm gonna try to find out how to build one from scratch. I would rather take something existing and twist it myself.
For me, I'm trying to think of any. So most of my, I guess, unique creations are more like. So I write Threads of Fate is a cultivation series, so it has a lot of. It bends more towards Eastern mythology, and I throw in a. I spent a lot of time in Africa and the Middle East while I was in the military, so I throw in a bit of that as well. But I would say most of my unique stuff is more like items and plants and things needed for alchemy, because alchemy is real big in cultivation novels. But a purely unique, I tell you what, I'm good. I'm good at naming stuff, other stuff. Like I have angry murder goats in my, I think it's my
Good
third
at
book,
names.
there's my third or fourth book that just came out. Yeah. So, oh damn you, Paul. No, so but the angry murder goats were alluding to Dakota Kraut's Full Murder Hobo series, because in there he has to fight these blue goats over and over again, and he like punches these goats to death. And I thought that was hilarious. So then I was like, well, he didn't name them in his book other than like they were blue goats. So I'm like, Angry Murder Goats is their official name. And just like I have like the Guild of like Universal Destroying Squirrels, like is another.
I wonder where that one came from.
I wonder where that one came from.
I know, right? I wrote that immediately after I got the repair bill to replace all the lighting and the wiring for my outdoor
jeez.
porch. Yeah. Did you know that the coating on all wires is soy based, and that's why things like squirrels and other rodents will eat them because they think it's food? Fucking
I
jerk.
did not.
Yeah, now you know.
The more you know.
The more disturbed you are.
Yeah. What a bunch of handsome. Well, thank you, Harmon.
Love you
It's
too.
a Harmon Cooper sighting. We had a question from Jeffrey Martell. If you died and were reincarnated as a creature, real or mythical, what would it be? He says, I'm guessing one will be a squirrel. Laughs.
No!
And let's throw dragons out the window, because if you could be reincarnated as a dragon, why wouldn't you? But
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
go ahead, Jez. Where would we go with you?
All right. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know if there is. There probably is, but basically, like angels, like as in basically a big human with fucking wings, because I would just love to fly.
Hang on. Are you talking like classic how people picture angel? Or are you talking like the 40-eye demon things that are like
Probably
actually
not that
angels?
one. I would still like to get laid. I would still like to get laid. So I'm thinking not the 40-eye kind. I'm thinking like the more like, hi everybody, and occasionally smite people who annoy me.
Well,
So,
you said
like when
you
people
said
are coming
occasionally
at
get
us,
laid, and I don't think you're doing that as an angel. I'm just saying.
Yeah. That seems like not
I
in the
know there's
age
some
of
pretty
category.
straight people out there.
That's not an angel. Look at Lucifer.
Fallen, sir.
Is
He
everybody
didn't
just
say
wrong?
fallen
What's the
angel.
problem
He
here?
just said angel.
Yeah,
He also said he didn't think they existed.
that's fair.
Watch me get hit by a lightning bolt now.
Like a Nephilim.
Yeah.
There you
Yes,
go.
that's the
There
badger.
you
I
go,
couldn't
yeah.
think of the name. See, one of them. Yeah.
I have
That'll do
moments. One or two.
which are children of gods. So
Yeah, or children of angels or demons,
Yeah.
like half human, half angel,
half divine,
demons,
whatever
like
you want
that.
to call it.
As long as he's got wings.
Yeah, exactly. As long as it has wings and stuff.
So Michael, how about you?
What the hell?
Okay, Michael, how about you? What would you be?
What would I be? I would probably be
Boy
some type
squirrel.
of elemental, like an earth elemental, or I don't. Yeah, probably an earth or maybe a nature elemental, something
Which would
like
manifest as a squirrel. All you're giving me are squirrel vibes.
No!
here.
that. No, stop it,
Bring the teeth.
But yeah, no, I do think it'd be because like if I'm an elemental, I can take a lot of different forms that I want, or if I'm a nature elemental, I can use trees to kill squirrels. But no, seriously, like it makes you really a tequila elemental. I believe you, Harlan.
I'm
Yeah,
just worried about what
coffee
it actually
elemental,
look like.
Yeah.
I mean, a tequila elemental would have to like appear as like pavement pizza or something, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, I would be afraid to be a tequila elemental because I like one party at like Dragon Con, and I'm gone. All the authors would finish me off. Like,
Oh my
I've seen
God.
you drink.
I have so many comments, and they're all
I
not
did too,
appropriate.
and not one of them I could say right then.
I didn't even mean to do that. I didn't mean to do that. Thank you, Daniel.
Okay, we're gonna move on from Michael on this one. Shabby, what would you
Yeah, good call.
reincarnate as?
I guess I'm gonna say a mimic. I really like mimics, and then I could theoretically be any of the other creatures. I guess I mean more of a mimic from my series, because I know a mimic in D&D usually takes on the form of an inanimate object, like a treasure chest or a table or something like that. And I'd rather like a mimic almost in the Pokemon or my series, where it takes on the form of other mythical creatures and then
Okay.
has their style of powers. So
So more like a Ditto.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, she wants a doppelganger, is what she wants.
We already talked about
There
Jez
you
and
go.
Dittos. That was already discussed in the comments.
Yeah, so yeah, I'd probably
Not
want
denying
a creature mimic form.
Yeah.
That's
Fair,
what I'd want.
fair. Okay, Daniel.
Well, I mean, if you're going to end with me, this is not my fault, sir. Most people are probably guessing very crazy things, considering my reputation.
Accurate things.
We're
You're not
gonna
wrong.
twist things slightly. We're gonna stay with the fun times, but we'll go Satyr again, like I did at Dragon Con. Because why else would you not want to party, drink, debauch, and just have a good time and not have to worry about angels coming down to stop you from having a good time just because you happen to believe in free will and stuff.
Just to be clear to everybody, what he means by Satyr at Dragon Con is that he was a Satyr at Dragon Con. He was just running around half naked and just scaring people and jumping on them. So, yeah.
Hey,
Saying nothing
giving-
else,
it was
and giving drinks.
consensual jumping, sir. Consensual jumping, okay?
I told you, buy me a drink next time first.
I did.
I know. I'm just saying next time.
Again.
Yes, again. You gotta do that again. Oh man, so funny.
So fucked up, I think, is the word you're looking for.
Yeah. Yes.
Transform test.
So where
different
do you
mimic fear.
draw a lot of your inspiration from for the creatures you use? I know like a lot of them's mythical, old myths, but is there any like a specific region you tend to gravitate towards or era?
I went way out of my way to include creatures in every mythology that has creatures. Now, some of them were difficult because some mythology, the creatures are just different types of people, if that makes any sense. So it's not as easy. But I remembered doing a lot of research into creatures that come from like African mythologies, and they have a lot of spiders. And I don't know why that is, but my goodness, do they have a lot of freaky spider mythologies. So I included a couple of those in my books, but they're like more nightmarish than the last. Like each one is just more nightmarish than the last. So that was interesting. But I wanted to include all of them because in my series, at least with the bonding to creatures, I wanted the reader to think to themselves, oh, what would I bond to? And I didn't ever want them to think to themselves, well, I couldn't do that because that doesn't exist in this universe. Does that make any sense? I wanted all the
absolutely.
creatures to be there so that no matter what the person thought, no matter what their favorite creature was, anywhere in the world, that they could be like, oh, that creepy spider that comes out of the Congo, that's the one I want to bond to. So
There's been movies about that.
yeah, exactly. You got it.
Yeah, yes, the spider talk is done. Yeah, now you can put your headset back on. She did fail to mention ants, however.
Well, I
Ants are the
do
worst.
like ants. In one of the games that me and my husband played, I designed a familiar that as it ranked up, it just got more and more ants. And instead of calling its like wizard master, which is most of what the familiars say, it called them its queen. Like it would be like, yes, my queen. And because it was a weird, creepy group
Nice.
of ants. So if I could ever get that into one of my books, I will, but that'll be harder.
I've been concentrating on, for a rise, more of the Mediterranean and sort of some of Russia, mostly Eastern Europe and Russia. I do intend to do more of Africa and more of sort of that area, but it's like the main characters in that area, so it makes sense to use those legends. But also, a lot of the Eastern European legends are not many people talk about them. Yeah, love you too, Jacob. Not many people know about sort of a lot of the Eastern European legends, so they're very good to sort of pull from and to use for different things. But also, there's not a goddamn cat in hell's chance I will use stuff from Australia because the stuff that exists there is fucking terrifying. So the stuff that they make up, best thing with that.
Yeah, because everything in Australia wants to kill you already. So
Exactly.
Yeah,
So the stuff that you would make up when
Australia's
you're, why would you need to make anything up?
It's not necessary.
I mean, can you imagine it? It'd just be sort of like, oh, I had this fever dream of this terrible monster. Oh, you mean John down the street and his pet? Oh, yeah, it was actually. Yeah, it wasn't a fever dream. I just saw him yesterday when I was drunk. That would be it.
Daniel, how
It's
about you?
funny. It's true.
I'm sorry. What was the question again? I had to stop because of spiders.
Do you pull your myths from any one location or area?
No, I've pulled them from lots of different places. Mostly, like Jez said, mostly European because European
fucking
myths
crazy.
have been used so often across, my childhood. That's what I'm familiar with. But going outside of that and using things from Eastern Europe, some of the Asian whatnot. I have not personally delved into African myths, and I'm now never going to touch Australian myths because Jez raised a very good point. That when you already live in hard mode, you probably don't want to look at the myths of hard mode. So,
I mean,
but
what kind of-
mostly I've used European myths. I've used some Native American, especially for like Lux Voice and stuff coming up, and other various regions, but mostly it's going to be European because, well, that's what I was raised with.
That's fair. Yeah, I think I already kind of answered this question. I talked about for my Threads of Fate series, focusing in on more Eastern mythology and throwing in a little bit of Middle Eastern and African. And then with my Wandering Warrior, I am purposefully scouring every mythological creature I can get my hands on. Like I said, Native American, European, even more modern things like what is that thing called that like it runs on all fours and it looks almost like a person. It was like a
Paul. It's Paul Hasseltine.
Paul, that's it's a Paul. I have a Paul coming at me. You know what? Now I'm gonna freaking do it. Paul, it's your fault for always freaking harassing Jez and I at the same time. You're getting it.
Oh no, it's a Paultine. It's chasing me.
like right. Paul chasing, like jumping onto like the Lilith or whatever her name is.
I'm doing it. I swear. I'm making a note right now. This is happening.
Paultines are actually going to be the name of
His
the
last
void squirrels
scene.
that he's going to include in his next book.
No, I think it's going to be so. There's an African monster. It's a one-legged. It's called a monopod. It's like a one-legged. Like they call. I can't. It doesn't translate well, but in Arabic you would call it like a one-legged ass kicker. And so like it goes around and it's a mischievous creature that goes around and like kicks you in the butt when you're not looking, and it makes you stumble forward and fall, usually into something like an ant pile or spider nest or snake nests, like at the worst possible time. And so that is exactly what Paul is going to be, because he's always sneaking in and like bloop, like damn it, Paul. I'm serious. I'm making the note right now.
So the next question comes from Kyle Wilkinson. How do you come up with your worlds? Do the characters you want to write affect what world you're going to write?
So I came up with my the Nightmare Arcanist world because I really love the Age of Sail, specifically when there were a bunch of privateers and pirates on the oceans. And I really, really wanted just a setting like that where there could be ships and pirates and people, you know, in ship conflict, lots of islands. I really love like the Caribbean and other places where there are just tons and tons of islands and everybody's got their own culture, um, or their own traditions and stuff like that. So I really started making my world based off of a time frame in history. I have a bachelor's in history, so I really just love. Like there were certain points when I was taking all these classes, being like, "Oh man, if only I could set like a series during this time frame, that would be so cool." And so that's exactly what I did. I also really love the notion of privateers, like people who are paid by their various nations to pirate other nation ships and not claim any sort of like official affiliation, but really their job was to just go out and pirate the other ships that weren't their nations. I always thought that that was underhanded in like a hilarious way. So um, that's the kernel, I guess, the seed that started the worlds for my stuff is mostly based on history.
That's
That's
awesome.
really cool.
How about you,
I think-
Jez?
I don't, to be honest with you. I pick a scene, like I want to write about whatever this is, and I pick a character, I build the character, and then sort of build the world around that character, and then I just press play and see what happens. You know, a lot of the time for me, I've heard it said before, and it's a brilliant saying, is that I don't write stories, I write an incident report of the mad bastards I'm watching, and that's pretty much what's going on for me. I think Michael should be next because he's my mouthful.
I was gonna say I was waiting for him to have a mouthful and one of you to finish to call him out specifically.
Well, but we were running behind today, so I didn't have a chance to eat lunch. And my wife is over; she's behind me making food, and she was like, "Do you want it now?" I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah, I want it now. Of course, I want it now.
I'm hungry.
Well, you watch me eat.
Oh man, yes, exactly. Okay, so what was the question? I'm sorry, I was enjoying my sandwich.
How do you go about creating your worlds? Do the creatures that you want to put into it drive your world creation?
Kinda. For me, it's like Jez said, I have characters, I put them in a world, and then I introduce situations to those characters, and they kind of define how things happen. Now, to create those situations, I usually have to come up with an opponent of some kind or some type of creature that is an obstacle they have to get past. And that is how they can help shape the world. Because, and that's Nick is one of Mount Del Press's editors. He knows this. You're halfway through a book and you're like, oh man, I need to give a reason why this thing exists. So then you have to go back and like thread through the whole book, the whole first half of the book. You got to make sure you mention it enough times so it's not just, ta-da, I made a monster because I felt like it, you know.
Because it was needed right here.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to put it all in throughout the rest of the book. But that's what editing's for. When you're actually going through writing it, just write it, just get it out, just get it out of your head, let your characters flow, let it happen, and then you go back and fix it. And that's how you adjust things like pacing and stuff like that. Yep. Anyway, yeah.
Daniel?
I have written enough worlds that I can say I've done it multiple different ways. I knew that Lex Voice was going to feature an alternate Western setting, and with the character doing what he was going to do and trying to bring religion back, different gods back to the world, there was going to be a Mother Nature component. Therefore, I had dryads, and they were going to be an integral part of the story. So of course they shaped the world. How and why they exist and everything was part of that. For Binding Words, it's a world run by the Fey Queens. So yes, they definitely shaped the world. Literally shaped the world. So I mean, it depends on the story. I have other stories where the mythical creatures are there. The reason they're there makes sense, but I don't go out of my way to, talk about vampires for the first half of the novel before I introduce the vampire. It's just like, oh yeah, we, really hoped we didn't have to deal with one of these guys.
Yeah, and that's the benefit of using already known creatures.
Yeah.
Because you don't need to introduce a vampire. Everybody knows what a vampire is. You of course throw your own twist on it, but
Yeah.
I like it.
For Lux, since most of the creatures of myth, the Sasquatch, the Dryads, anything that worships Mother itself, they're just called wild folk, and they're talked about. Oh, if you go out alone, the wild folk are going to get you. But until they show up, there's no reason to belabor the point.
Right. So another question from Facebook. This one's from JD Glasscock. Do you ever scramble Googling for some creature because out of nowhere you need one and didn't plan for it? I'm going to throw this one to Michael first because I am 99% sure this has happened.
Oh, man. So I'm not going to live screen my screen because I don't want to show all the tabs that I have open. I can just give you a count.
Considering what some of those tabs are named, probably a good idea not to share screen.
So I have, no, I have 3 different windows and each has like over 30 tabs, like of just stuff. You know what I mean? Like
really straining your processor.
Yeah.
Dude, look, I hate to say this, right, Michael, but no matter how hard you try, you cannot watch all the porn out there. There's more than out every day, right? I have tried. You cannot do it. Just accept this.
He's eventually going to come down to he has favorites and he'll just stick with them. But let him explore until then.
Accept that, you know.
He likes the video of this one and the audio of the 28 other ones.
It makes him feel like he's at the orgy, okay? Just let him exist.
That is so bad. Oh, man. But no, that's I literally am like, oh, man, I have a tab for that. So, like, a tab. Like, what are my tabs?
That's what she
look right now. No, I've got a tab for that kink. No, okay. 75 best samurai quotes. You know, just for whenever I need a samurai quote.
Whenever this guy's gonna whip out a samurai quote.
I have a feeling Shammy just opens her 5,000 page module and picks from there.
Yeah.
Got it.
Random page.
I was gonna say the answer to this question is easy for me. It's no.
It's no.
But yeah, the Garden of Fantasy Flora, 80 plants from fiction, but on visually. Like, I'm just freaking. I am only one man. I can't think of everything. So heck yeah, I Google the crap out of stuff. Every time it comes to Born with Jess. You're not wrong, Scott. You're not wrong.
There's a reason his Patronus is a succubus. We've already discussed that.
As long as everybody's having fun.
Okay, Jez, so how good is your Google foo?
I Google a lot. I've got to admit, I used to work in IT, so my entire job in IT, I was a field-based engineer, so I would turn up and I would like be fitting in some new equipment or whatever in the office, and you'd blink and you'd turn around, there'd be 30 people behind me going, "Oh, my word doesn't work properly." Well, stop fucking sticking stupid stuff on it then. Fuck off. But it would be stupid questions constantly, and being in IT, you are required to look like you know what you're doing. So I'd be like, of course, I know what that is. Turn the screen slightly so they can't see it. Google the fuck out of that. Yes, you just have to press Control X and it'll fix it for you. And literally, I did that for a living. That was my job, was go out, fix things, and just Google the shit out of everything that was going on. When it comes to the world, I'll be putting something out and I'll be like, shit, I need something that fits this roughly, and Google something, and 9 times out of 10 you'll find that there's one of the words will catch your eye, and then you can do a search for words similar to, and it'll send your mind off down like a little weird pathway that'll get you something. But we can't talk about what it would get you because it's pre-watch yet.
So your old job was Googling and then bullshitting about what the solution was. So basically,
writing.
You have the same job.
Oh yeah, you do the same thing.
It's slightly different now because now I can tell people to fuck off. Then I used to work as a welder, and the advantage then was if people annoyed you, you could just punch them in the face, and that was just perfectly acceptable. You can't do that in IT, it turns out, so I had to get a new job.
That's fair. That's fair. Harmon's on the chat all about Bing. No, Harmon. I don't need to know about Bing.
I mean, I occasionally do Google stuff, but I never do it like mid writing. Most of the time, I outline. I seem to be in the rare minority of this, but I usually outline my entire book so that I know these major story beats, and those major story beats always include, the type of creatures I'm going to be writing about. So I never have to be like, oh, I'm in the middle of a fight and I don't know what kind of monster is going to be here. Um, I usually pick the monsters to either complement some sort of new power that the main character has developed so that I can showcase it a little bit better, or that specifically goes against the main character's power set so that I can show the main character being clever with their power usage by getting around a problem that they would have. So the nightmare guy is like shadow based, so maybe I would put in a creature that, creates a lot of light or fire that would then harm his shadows. So now he needs to creatively solve how to get around that. And that's usually how I write my outlines. So, like, I pick them specifically almost exactly for story beat purposes. Maybe in that stage when I'm outlining, I would Google, like some stuff like, oh, what's a cool lantern creature or something, something that creates light. And if I can't really find anything, that's usually when I make it up myself, because who doesn't want a sentient lantern creature? You know what I'm saying? So that kind of stuff.
What is it? The Ocarina of Time. Listen, little
The little fairy.
little fairy
Navi.
wisps that are glowing
Everybody
everywhere.
loves Navi.
Yeah, Navi. That's it. Yeah.
My
Chandelure. Yeah.
I was say, do you
My-
Google much, Daniel?
my Googling normally comes down to I know what I'm trying to say, but I think my word is wrong. So it's Googling the word I think is right first and finding out I'm wrong, and then being okay, hang on, I know it's similar to that.
I was like a
And
spell
then
check.
trying different spellings and or what is the word that means this. That's the majority of my Googling mid writing, and then half the time I still get that wrong, and then my editor will kindly remind me.
Yeah,
I
feel
say
sorry for my
kindly because
editors at
she's
times.
only like 10 feet over there.
Right.
Not the same church.
If you didn't say kindly and she was in the room, I knew something would be thrown at you.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh.
We are coming up quickly on our time here, though. We got our 5-minute warning because we didn't get a 10-minute because our fearless leader was laughing too hard to give us a 10-minute warning.
That's
So
fair.
let's do a quick what you're working on. What's your next book to come out? And where we can find you on social media. Go ahead, Daniel.
My next book to be published is going to be Aether's Revival 6, which is Magi's Guard is the title of it. And then after that, I have other projects coming in because I write a 4-series rotation, and I publish a book every 2 months on pretty regularly, if not earlier than every 2 months. You can find me on Facebook. There's a Facebook fan group that I made. I have a Discord server. There's a Twitter, easy enough to find me. Very simple to find me on social media if you look. If you really want to find more lewd books, because I'm going to be honest with you, I only have one clean series. If you're looking for clean, I'm sure other people here can help you.
Really?
And they will now tell you where you
Yeah,
can find
Shammy
them.
can help you.
Yeah. I write all these things. Mine are nice and wholesome and cool adventures. So yeah, if you Google Shammy, you'll either get me or you're gonna get the Middle Eastern soccer player, because those are the only two people named Shammy. But yeah, I'm on every social media. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and all those places. I even have a really cringy TikTok, and just in case you wanted to see me do stupid stuff on TikTok. The next book that is going to be published is The Nexus Games 3, which is my series that's like the Squid Games meets video game quests. So like a deadly escort quest or deadly wave defense, things like that. The main character has a familiar that's an albino wyvern, which I always thought was really cool. And I really like that. That's coming out. And then I'll have Grandmaster Arcanist, come out after that, which is the end of my Nightmare Arcanist series. I got a lot of cool artwork for that, so all of the artwork of all the like major god creatures and stuff. The artist is super talented. I seriously can't wait for that book to come out. So I'm super excited for all those things, and hopefully you guys give it a try if you really like Pokemon and adventures and the Age of Sail. So
Okay, Jez,
Is that me or Michael?
you're going next. I'm leaving Michael to the end because we can't finish on you.
You don't trust me at all, do you?
Nope.
Hang on, that's not true. In fact, I can give you pictures that prove you can't finish on Jez.
oh my god.
Won't be the first time, won't be the last. As long as everybody has fun, though. Basically, you can find me obviously on social media. As far as I know, I'm the only. You love it, Dom.
Yeah.
This is my wife, by the way.
There's the truth right there.
I'll get you. I'm coming upstairs to see you, and right in a minute.
Oh my god.
So you can find me on social media because, as far as I know, I'm the only one called Jez Caggio. If there's another one, then I'm fucked. Basically, you can find me on Facebook, obviously, quite easily. But we do have a new group called the Legion, Lit Up Legion, which is just basically us all talking about other people's books more than our own, just to spread the word of other people's stuff a bit more and try and build things like that. And also, I've got the Universe Omnibus releasing at the moment. Loads of other things in the go, but we haven't got much time. So thank you all very much, guys, and thanks for doing this, Nick.
Michael?
All right. Yeah, seriously, check out Lit RPG Legion. That's a great, like, there happens to be a really great, like, 2-hour-long interview between Jez and some other person.
Some rando.
Well, it was meant to be an hour, but we got completely, like, we were drinking way too much.
Color me shocked.
It was super fun. But anyway, I have a website, michaelheadauthor.com. If you Google Michael Head, I'm not the first Michael Head. There's some famous composer back in like the 1800s named Michael Head. And then in the UK, there's like a rock singer named Michael Head, who is also much more famous than I am. So like, I'm like the third or fourth Michael Head. So like I said, michaelheadauthor.com, or you can go to mountaindalepress.com, or you can go on, well, even if you go on Amazon or Kindle, there's another Michael Head author, but he writes.
There's even another author? Oh,
yeah, there's even another author named Michael Head. He writes books about French artillery during the Napoleonic Wars. So that one's not me. That's not that's a different Michael Head. So yeah. But yeah, I've got Radiohead. No, I don't think so. But
I named his son.
Yeah. No, yeah, I've got the Threads of Fates book 5 is in the works right now. I've got Wandering Warrior, Judge, Jury, and Executioner. It's on my Patreon. It'll be coming out soon. And then I'm also working on Year of the Sword. I already have June for April written. It's still got to go through the process, editing and stuff like that. Then I'm working on Tycoon May, and then once we have April, May, and June done and edited, we need to get Travis Baldry to narrate it, and then those will be coming out soon too. So lots of stuff coming out.
I just want to say, I think that the French artillery is actually Michael Head. And it was what he wrote first, and now he's just like embarrassed about it. So he's like, no, it's totally a different Michael Head.
That's not me at all. I wouldn't be so nerdy as to write about the French artillery.
Yeah, well, that didn't sell. I'll have to try someone else then.
So for those of you that want to join us, we can continue back in the Discord. I would assume Geneva will post a link if people want to join us there. If there are any questions that you would like to ask that weren't answered here, or that you did ask and we missed, you're welcome to join us over there and keep the questions going for a little while until the next panel starts, I think. So thank you all for joining us. Yeah, you got to go take care of that.
Just there's something else going on. Anyway. Something to do with a cat. I don't know.
The catastrophe has returned.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man, so bad. Anyway, thanks everybody. It
Thank
was
you all
awesome.
for
Thanks,
coming.
everyone.
Yep. Have a nice day.
You too.
Bye.